Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Film Broads, where myself, Matt, and my co-host Tyler
Hello.
provide completely unprofessional, 100% biased opinions on the movies of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. Last week, we did Search for Modern Classics on X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past, and kind of by default, X-Men Apocalypse as well. Today, we are continuing with X-Men movies from the 2010s. Today, we are talking about The Wolverine and Logan, one of which is a beloved superhero standalone story, and the other is Logan. Um,
That's pretty good. Did you have that one planned?
That one came to me spur of the moment. I thought I was
That
gonna
was
flub it, to be
that
honest.
was pretty
But
good.
I
That
did
was a
not.
pretty
It
good
came to me
delivery.
spur of the moment. The muse came to me. And there's no lies detected,
Yeah.
to be honest. So we both watched The Wolverine and Logan. I also watched X-Men Origins Wolverine. I
Yeah.
know there's a game you want to play with X-Men Origins Wolverine. Do you want to say that for the end of the episode or the
We could
beginning?
I mean, considering X-Men Origins Wolverine is the first X Wolverine standalone movie, we should
Yeah,
probably talk about that in terms of this Wolverine trilogy of movies
yeah.
that come out. But you actually were a bold enough man to have sit down. I've seen that
I
movie enough in
watched
my
it.
lifetime.
I watched it at work. Thank you. I watched it at work. Um, with my I feel like I gave it like 2 stars on Letterboxd, and I feel like that the star rating is skewed by the fact that I watched it at work,
Okay.
like I was being paid to watch it basically. And my girlfriend made Persian barbecue the day before, so I
Okay.
had leftover like chicken and saffron and rice, and I was chowing down on it while watching the X-Men Origins Wolverine at work. I technically wasn't wasting any time of my free time because I mean nothing was going on. So I feel like that star rating is skewed by the fact that I was like living my best life, basically.
It's skewed too high or skewed too low?
It's
Are you
skewed too high, I
okay?
would say.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say
Um,
you watched
there's
it.
stuff to enjoy about X-Men Origins Wolverine, I would
If
say.
you insist.
I did laugh out loud. I almost choked on my food when the old people are talking to Logan in the barn, and she goes, "I brought lemonade." The old lady says that, and then she gets shot and
She gets
killed.
shot immediately. Yeah.
I did laugh out loud at that point. But it's a movie I hadn't seen since 2010 or whatever, and you haven't seen it since you saw it in theaters, right?
No, I that was an
So,
FX. That was an FX TNT
okay,
movie.
so you wanted to propose a game in which you try to recap the plot of X-Men Origins
Okay.
Wolverine, and as someone who saw it last week and is trying to remember what happened in the movie,
Okay.
I'll be your judge as to how accurate you were able to recount the
Okay.
movie.
So the reason I wanted to do this is I saw this movie in theaters, and even when it came out, 2009.
Mm.
Even when I was in
Yeah,
2009,
2009. Yeah.
I remember being 11 or 10 or whatever and being like, this movie sucks. Like
Yeah,
I
I
remember
remember
that.
thinking that as well.
Yeah, I remember being like, man, this movie's garbage. And then it just was one of those FX TNT movies that like every time you turn on cable to put on like Sports Center, like we had old like Comcast, you like scroll past it, and it's like they're playing Origins Wolverine again. You're like, might as well. I got a few minutes. So you put on a
It's
scene.
so weird thinking like literally just like 15 years ago, like you were forced to watch things like you're like, well, I mean, like I guess I'll watch the second half of Braveheart because there's literally nothing else on TV.
Yeah.
Now it's like we have a million options with a million streaming services to watch whatever we want, but it's like, well, I got nothing to do, so I guess I'll watch the last hour of X-Men
Yeah.
Origins Wolverine.
You're like, I would, those were the better days. Those were the peaceful days.
Yeah.
Those were the good ones. Okay. So the whole game I wanted to play is I have not looked this up. I legitimately just had better things to do than look at a Wikipedia summary of X-Men Origins Wolverine in my free time. So I wanted to try to see if I could remember because it's been probably I'm 25, a decade,
Mm.
9 years probably since I've last seen it or thought about it. Okay. So I just want to see if I can like do a quick like 4 minute recap of it, and you just tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Um, I remember the movie started off with like a montage because it's like the only good thing anybody ever talks about that movie
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
remember.
It has like 5 stories that are better than the one that we're given.
Yep, it's like look at him fight in like World War II, and you're like, that sounds awesome. I remember thinking of that scene because I learned that the singer Troy Sivan.
No.
Okay, well he's a modern pop singer. I kind of like some of his
Okay,
music.
wow. I'm gonna rush out to listen to Trace
Some
Sivan.
of his new music, but I learned that he was like the guy when Wolverine like stabs his father. I remember that. That's a plot point. And he goes
Yeah,
like, "No, that's Troye Sivan." And
I
I was
forgot that
like,
happened until you said it, but okay.
okay. So it does that, and then we cut to I can't remember if it's the woman dying or the all the dead Ryan Reynolds Deadpool stuff.
Okay, so I'll stop you there.
Okay.
Um, the opening credits ends with them murdering a U.S. soldier who was trying to sleep with a lady, and so Logan and Sabretooth are going to be executed
Oh
via
yeah.
firing range
Oh
because they're
yeah.
because they're immune. They
Yeah.
go, "Duh!" So they get shot, and then that cuts to them in prison where the striker is like, "Hey, do you want to join our club, our mutant society?"
Okay.
And he goes, "Okay." So then cuts to them now fighting secret special black ops with this
Okay.
X-Force kind of group.
In Will I Am is in the movie.
Yes, Will I Am is in the movie.
Will in the movie as a guy who teleports.
Yes,
Um, but they're killing people. I remember a scene that when I was 11, I thought was the coolest thing ever, where Ryan Reynolds is like yapping his mouth in an elevator and then comes out of the elevator and is just like twirling a sword really fast and just blocking like a bajillion bullets. I remember where he turns and
he
cuts the
blocks a
bullet.
bajillion
He
bullets.
does. He's like, and he turns, he blocks the bullet, and two people die that way. And I remember being like 10 and like being like, ah, in the theater, like losing my
Mm.
mind. They kill a guy or don't kill a guy. I think they
They
kill a
kill a
guy,
bunch of guys.
a whole bunch of guys. I remember there being a conflict that Sabretooth, um, is killing people, and Wolverine's like, no, like Sabretooth's a little bad.
Mm.
Okay, so there's that. It cuts to then Wolverine is a logger
Yeah.
in Alaska. He is either already porking someone or meets a
No,
girl.
they're mid pork. He
They're
has
mid
literally like
pork.
he has one line of dialogue before he's murdered
Is
to
she
establish
also
that they're in love.
okay? She is also a mutant, if I remember, paid by Stryker to seduce him.
Wow, I did not remember that when I
I
rewatched
remember
the
that
movie.
because I remember being betrayed. See, they're living their life peacefully. There is an instance where a guy on the road is a dick. I remember that.
Yep.
And instead
You
of
remember
Wolverine,
way more of this movie than I
I
remember when I saw it.
I told you I've seen this movie a lot. She like calms his mind or whatever,
Yeah.
and then Sabretooth comes back, supposedly kills her, and you get that shot where he's holding her and he's like, no. He goes to he fights Sabretooth with logs. Is it that the
Yes.
log scene? He goes to a bar
Yeah.
and beats him with a log.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know how they get to him being adamantium
He wants
claws
revenge on
against who
Sabretooth.
but because Sabretooth beats him. That's right.
Yeah, because he doesn't know that Sabretooth and Corum and Stryker
Okay.
are working together still.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he gets adamantium injected into him, and then as he's in his comatose state, supposedly Corman Strike says, "Now, I'll wipe his mind," and then that causes Wolverine to rage out and kill people and escape the
Yeah.
facility.
Okay. I do remember that one shot where he burst out of the water like
That's actually the
naked.
one good shot of the movie.
It's pretty cool, right? And he
Yeah,
gets shot in the head. He like I remember that so vivid. He like turns and it heals.
yeah,
He kills a bunch of people. I remember being 10 or 11 when he slashes the X on the door, being like, "That's the X-Men." He runs naked to a barn.
yeah.
He meets two very kind old
They
people
are very forgiving of everything that he
who are
does.
immediately no, no wait, there's a scene where it's like oh my god, it's like the Amazing Spider-Man immediately rips it off where he's in a bathroom testing his
Yeah.
powers and destroying something.
The heater, like he breaks the pipe
And like
and
the
then he has like slapstick humor where he's trying to put it out.
yeah, and they take that in the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield where he rips the faucet off and like squirts
Oh.
toothpaste. I remember that.
They're like, what movie could we take inspiration from that
Yeah.
everybody loves? X-Men Origins Wolverine.
You're like, that movie's just misunderstood. They are immediately assassinated by a sniper.
Yes, and the
Uh,
funniest scene of the movie.
which they're like, they're like, you're so you want his pants, and then they're shot and killed, and the house blows up. Uh, Wolverine fights a helicopter,
Yeah.
kills the sniper.
No, so no, he's gonna spare him, and then the sniper goes, "Everyone that you love dies," and then he like there's like an oil trail, and he like sparks the oil trail with his claws, and then it blows up, and then he
Okay,
walks away slowly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Sabretooth kills Will I Am. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually cool though, because he's like teleporting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how like kind of sick it was. Like he's teleporting around, and then Sabretooth like his hands in his stomach grabbing his
Yeah.
spine. Like that was
Yeah.
actually kind of cool.
It's like I remember Wolverine has a boxing match with a really fat guy called the Blob.
Yes. Yeah,
And there's
but he's
a
depressed because of all the bad things that they did as
the
Black
Blob
Ops.
is?
Yeah, he binge eats because
Hmm.
to handle his depression.
Okay. I remember there being a comical gong sound when he gets hit in the head because he's metal.
Probably.
I feel like I remember that in theaters. Um, I legitimately don't remember. I remember there being a twist reveal that she's alive, the woman, the love
You forgot
interest.
about Taylor Kitsch as Gambit. You remember Taylor Kitsch just
I forgot about
as
him.
Gambit? How do you forget?
He's in. I forgot he throws cards. Is that a superpower?
That's a superpower. What else?
Okay. I don't remember anything with that. I really just remember the betrayal, and then they're fighting on top of a silo with a Deadpool guy,
Yeah.
and he cuts his head off.
He,
And
but Deadpool shoots the lasers from his eyes.
oh,
And he teleports.
wasn't there a scene where Sabretooth goes to a school and fights Cyclops?
Yeah, he fights Cyclops. Again, because the movies have no continuity. Like how Cyclops gets his power, like how like Cyclops is in high school both in Apocalypse and in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and they're
Okay.
completely different like actors and settings and
Yeah.
like ways that how he gets affiliated with the X-Men.
It's not played by James Marsden, right? Because he was
No,
older in
it's a kid.
okay, because he was older in the X-Men movies.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's a scene where Wolverine stabs some people.
He stabs a lot of people with no blood. Uh,
Okay. And I really like I just remember a betrayal and then the Deadpool and then that's it. And
yeah.
that's basically where I got.
This
How'd
is
I
my
do?
favorite iteration of Deadpool. Um,
Where he doesn't talk.
yeah, he doesn't talk and he
Yeah.
shoots lasers from his eyes.
And
Ryan Reynolds is like when he's like wisecracking Deadpool, he's unbearable.
yeah.
Like
I remember him. Yeah.
everything is so flat. He's like, wow, we are a bunch of guys in an elevator. I had a dream about. I'm not exaggerating. That's literally the way he says the lines. He's terrible.
Oh, there's a guy who controls lights at the carnival.
Yeah, that's Mary or Pippin.
Oh my God, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. All
yeah.
right. Yeah, the movie sucks, doesn't it?
Mm.
How'd
I
I
got
do?
mod. Yeah, it's not good.
Did I miss anything else important?
You missed the part where the wife is where he's like he's all betrayed when the wife comes back,
Yeah.
and then he goes, oh, but I actually loved you, and then he forgives her immediately, and they're back to being 100% in love again, and then she dies again, and then
She
you missed the part
dies?
where yeah, and then you missed the
Okay.
part where Logan is chasing Stryker, and then Stryker like 360 no scopes him with the pistol with the adamantium bullet in it,
Oh,
and
that's
knocks him out, which
right.
is why he forgets everything.
Oh, and that's right. And then the before the when the wife dies, she's like, "You're gonna walk until your feet bleed, and then you're gonna keep walking." And
Yeah,
he does.
yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot he loses, but like, how does that tie into any of the continuity? Because none of the other movies he doesn't lose his memory in any other of the X-Men movies.
Does he have his memory in X-Men 1? Like, does he remember what happened after? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Well,
because
yeah, because then
he's
how
like a
else would he? Because remember, in the Wolverine, he remembers the Japanese soldier, so of course he
yeah.
maintains some of his
He
memory.
made
Yeah,
the I know that the X-Men Origins when that movie they plan to make a bunch of X-Men Origins movies.
yeah,
And that the Wolverine was just awful. They're like, yeah, I think we're done. Like, I think we're
yeah.
good.
Well, I mean, so like I guess the Kickstarter discussion on the Wolverine, like
Hold on,
they
yeah.
made standalone movies because of how poorly received X-Men 3 was, and they didn't want to push the continuity forward, so they decided to be lazy and just make standalone stuff where they don't have to worry about
But it
the
doesn't
whole cast and the whole story.
but they immediately abandoned that for the Wolverine, where the Wolverine X-Men Last Stand is the events of that are canon and
Yeah.
very pivotal to X-Men or the Wolverine,
The
which
Wolverine's
make
plot is pivotal to, well, it sets up Days of Future Past.
it sets up Days of Future Past, but I mean the continuity is entirely Last Stand trilogy thing.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because of Jean Grey and everything.
So last episode I talked about how this series makes no sense.
Yeah.
Smarter people than I have probably tried to dissect it in YouTube videos, but X-Men First
People
Class
with
is
more free time on their hands to
exactly.
pointlessly uh
Think about these kind of mid
nitpick.
movies. Um, yeah, it makes no sense. And X-Men Origins Wolverine just exasperates that, and even the Wolverine to some extent, and even Logan. Like these movies,
How dare you?
if you think about them too much, they
The
make no
Wolverine is
fucking
canon.
sense.
Everything else that contradicts it
Does
is not canon. It's the
does
fault of every movie surrounding the Wolverine.
does Logan take place in the same timeline as the Wolverine? Answer me that. Five, four, does
Yes.
it? I don't think
Yes.
it does.
He has the samurai sword above his door.
Does he?
Yes.
God.
They do a shot of it.
But like, how old is Chua? Isn't that movie take place in like 2040? How
No, it takes
isn't
place in 2028.
Charles Xavier was like 20 in like World War II? How old is this man?
He looks pretty old.
He's yeah, but that's if the canon of it, he's like 100 in Logan then.
Yeah, well, I mean, did you watch any of the memorial things or like all the US soldiers went back to D-Day on the 8th anniversary? Some of those guys look pretty good for
Oh,
101,
I did see some. I forgot it
right?
was that.
So it's
Yeah,
possible.
that's a good point. He's still alive, still doing his mind stuff. The Wolverine.
Mm,
This is a very important movie to us.
yeah.
I love this movie.
I love it too, and
I
not all ironically. I
I
unironically love it as
I
well.
unironically love like 75% of it is
Okay.
kind of where I'm at with this.
Yeah.
Tell me your history with it. Tell
So
me
this movie came out in 2013,
yes.
correct? Directed by
Yes.
James Mangold, who
Yeah.
we both really like because of Three Gen to Yuma.
That's
Um,
also an important movie to us.
yeah, it's not a really important movie to us. Was not the biggest fan of X-Men Origins Wolverine. I don't even think I even saw the trailer for this movie. I just didn't care. I think probably because Marvel was like, and it's like it was starting
Yeah.
to really get great. And I had a friend who was like, "Yeah, the Wolverine was like pretty sick. You should see it." And I was like, "Okay, I'll watch it." And loved it. And I was kind of surprised that it wasn't as well liked as how I felt watching it. And I've seen it
Yeah.
multiple times since my initial viewing. It's a movie I like to come back to every few years because I just get a lot of enjoyment out of watching it.
Yep.
It's helped by the fact that I have read Shogun in the meantime, James Clavell's Shogun, which this movie is actually very, very inspired by.
Hmm.
Um, and it's especially just like on comparing it to X-Men Origins Wolverine, like James Mangold's style and energy in this movie is so much better than anything in X-Men Origins Wolverine. I just purely from an enjoyment standpoint, I do like this movie more than Logan. I think it's more fun. And I would even argue that like I feel like it has more complex interweaving character dynamics and storylines.
I would say it's more fun, but I don't think that's a fault of Logan. I think Logan's a very tough watch at times.
Yeah, I just think like from a plot perspective, like Logan's kind of like we start here and then we just travel north. Whereas just purely from a plot standpoint, whereas I feel like in the Wolverine, there's like Yakuza, there's like the big business executives, there's like the justice system, there's the heiress, and then of course there's Logan in the middle of it all. Like there's more
Yeah.
stuff going on.
I would say the Wolverine is a perfect example of what a really fun comic book movie can be when it embraces the genre. And Logan is like trying to be an actual movie. I think
Wolverine is
they're
trying to be an actual
I
movie.
think it's I think here's my example. Olive does not give a shit about superhero movies. I did Zara watch any of these with you or did she
No.
care? Yeah, I Olive was
I want
doing
to keep my girlfriend, Tyler.
yeah. If she's over there, you're just vibrating in the seat as he fights on top of a bullet train. You're like, you watch this. Olive was doing because she has like an internship she's doing with like a triathlon company, and she was like editing and stuff like that. And she like halfway through the Wolverine was like, she's like, I fucking hate this movie. I was over there like vibrating, like giggling, and she's like, what is this like shit? And again, she does not give a fuck about Marvel superheroes. She's like, those movies are dumb. It's fair. I really can't argue against it. When she sat down and watched some of Logan with me before she had to go somewhere, and within like 15 minutes, she's like, oh, it's like trying to be a movie. Like she's like immediately was like, oh, this is like actually like trying for something. It seems okay. She's like, I still don't give a shit about it, but she's like, it seems better. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of respect that. And I kind of do agree. I mean, I fucking love the Wolverine. I saw this in theaters and I was like, this is the coolest movie ever. I also don't know if you, at the time, were you like keyed up on critic reception when the Wolverine came out or anything like that? Do you
Does
have
Jeremy Jahns and Chris Stuckman count as
That's
critical
exactly what I'm
reception?
thinking. They were my formation. I was always under the opinion that this and Days of Future Past were like beloved movies
Mm,
and was like shocked to see that people don't really like the Wolverine. I don't get
no,
it. I I just the complaint seemed to be that the third act is stupid and it's like what he's fighting a giant samurai made out of silver. Like get over yourself. That's
yeah.
it. I like a 3.0 on Letterboxd, mid Rotten Tomatoes reviews. Like I was that it was like an awakening. I was like, "Oh my God, like I thought these movies were better received than they were." Cuz I just remember vividly like Chris Stuckman gave the Wolverine an A minus. Jeremy Jahns really liked it. Like Schmoes, no, I remember really liking it.
They gave it four
They gave
point seven three
they gave it
two
fuck
five six seven
4.738.
eight
Yeah.
five squared out of five schmoes.
God, I remember those reviews and they're like, we're gonna give it a 3.73. And you're like, where's the 7.3 coming from? Even like being like 14, you're like, that makes no sense. That doesn't make any sense. I just remember like this movie, it's just like it's a weirdly I can't view it in a very unbiased perspective. Like it has a lot of like 15-year-old Tyler looking at cinema for the first time kind of
Yeah.
shots with like him fighting the samurai in the rain and him like taking the sword out of his chest, like illuminated by the blue rain. That shit I remember seeing in theaters being like, that's the coolest thing that's ever graced the screen.
Mm.
Obviously. Um,
I
yeah.
remember I remember like specifically I saw it with my little cousin Ryan.
Oh,
And so
nice.
I was like,
How old was he then? Like,
oh, so I'm gonna get to that. So he was
okay.
probably like elementary school. Like the first scene is the bombing of Hiroshima.
In like a
And
pretty good scene.
And so you see the generals like commit seppuku,
Yeah.
um like out there like stabbing themselves. You hear the like oh, and the,
Yeah.
like everything. I was like looking at him like, is he okay? So really, it was a brutal way to start off the movie. But also nitpick. So in Wolverine X-Men Origins Wolverine, they're fighting the German front, and then in X-Men. I mean, then in the Wolverine, he's in the Eastern theater, so I don't understand how that happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Start right to Fox or Disney now. I
yeah,
just feel like these movies make no sense.
but then like, and then it to follow that, like it then cuts to he saves this last soldier left on the base. He obviously doesn't make any sense in real life, but he puts like the door over him as the
Yeah.
nuclear explosion goes off. The next time you see Logan, he's like his skin is all like ripped and charred
Yeah.
and everything. It's a
Yeah.
very and he's all like and he's like Hugh Jackman's doing
Yeah.
a very great performance of a guy who just survived a nuclear bomb explode
Yeah.
on top of him.
Yeah.
Um, it's a very brutal way to start up the movie, and like I feel like because the X-Men movies were a little more lighthearted up to this point, I remember in the theater being kind of surprised by how like blunt the violence was, and at
Yeah.
least in this opening.
Well, I mean, this is like what happens, I think, when you give a director like and that like a movie to like an actual director. Like,
Yeah.
regardless of the quality of what you think with James Mangold movies, I'm not always of the opinion that his movies are always hits. Ford versus Ferrari is a fine movie. He made that Indiana Jones movie that our
Mm.
friend Mark is like, whatever. But like the directors before were Bryan Singer, a known hack,
Yeah.
Brett
Brett
Ratner,
Ratner,
Brett Ratner,
an
uh,
an artiste.
an artiste, a true, all great people, by the way, from what we know.
Yeah.
And then I just looked it up. Someone named Gavin Hood, who's the director who made he made Ender's Game, which I actually think is pretty solid, but who made a movie called Eye in the Sky, which is has decent reviews. Who made a movie called Official Secrets, which has decent review. Like, I guess he's technically a
Which one did
director.
he direct?
Gavin X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, of
Like,
course.
yeah, exactly. But like they came in with a director who has had a proven quality. Like, you ever seen the movie Copland?
I've not seen Copland.
That's one of James Mangold's like early. James Mangold is like a genuinely talented director.
Yeah.
Genuinely
310 to
talented.
Yuma is a movie I would love to do on this podcast one day
Yeah,
because it's like one of my favorite movies, like especially when I
ever.
was first getting into film.
Exactly. Me too. We have literally the same like so when you open a movie, one movie looks for the most part pretty spectacular. That opening shot
Yeah.
in
Oh, I mean, I not no, you go. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt
no,
you.
I'm just saying like
I'm agreeing that yes, it looks
yeah,
phenomenal.
like that opening shot these movies have good openings. that opening shot is like shot really well. It's lit really well. It has like a really great color grading. That far away shot of the nuke,
It feels like a
like,
scope.
yeah, it has
Yeah,
scope and yes, scale and impact. It's all really effective. Um, and it's just like from the moment the movie opens, one, it's like the tone of the movie is so drastically different than anything X-Men Origins Wolverine has outside of the first 5 minutes of that movie.
yeah,
Um, it's almost jarring. And even watching it now, even having seen hundreds upon hundreds of movies, like having watched a ton of movies the last like just I'm better watched now as an adult. It's still like impactful. I still watched it and I'm like, I feel the way I felt when I was 15, where I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool. Like I
yeah.
dare.
Not to skip ahead, but as you were saying earlier, like the samurai fight at night,
Yeah,
with the blue lit, it's like dark, kind of stormy. Um, like with the silhouetted figures, like it's
yeah,
genuinely great filmmaking,
yeah,
and art direction.
yeah. I completely agree. We can talk about some specifics of the Wolverine later. What do you think if Hugh? My one first go is like X-Men Origins Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's a phenomenal actor. He
Mm.
kind of sucks in X-Men Origins Wolverine for the most part. I don't really blame it entirely on him.
Yeah,
He's like overly campy, extremely serious to the point, but like a lot of the yells I remember being really goofy. This one I think he's like really good. Like genuinely, this and Logan, I think he's like phenomenal in Logan, and this I think he's really, really good.
yeah. The whole so it's a sequel to X-Men 3 basically, and it's
Yeah.
he's sort of recovering from the loss of Jean Grey, who was his lover, who he murdered because he had no choice,
Yep.
because she was full Dark Phoenix, and so the movie starts with him living in isolation. He has a bear who's his friend. Well, that's also a good shot too when he's walking and you see the bear in the
Yeah.
background come into frame.
Yep.
Um, who is then murdered by hunters who used poison arrows and then
Yep.
couldn't be bothered with finishing the job afterwards. And which is basically how he meets Yukio, who is
Yep.
an orphan who lived with the big businessman who Hugh Jackman saved at the beginning of the movie in the prologue,
Yep.
though, in World War II. And that's how he's brought into Japan. And I think, as I was hinting to earlier, what I really liked about the movie is like how many characters there are with like motivations that clash in a believable way. You have the main businessman guy. You have his daughter who's the heiress who's just trying to survive, and then
Yep.
her sorry, granddaughter, her father who's like this selfish guy working with Yakuza and working with like this corrupted law enforcement
Hmm.
leader in Tokyo. And then also you have the little crazier plot with like the mutants and the ninjas and everything. Like
And
I
the
was just very
yeah.
impressed by how many interweaving narratives there are in this movie
Yeah.
that all come to head in like satisfying conflicts to me. I really like the action in this movie. Action, especially compared to X-Men Origins Wolverine, sticks out to me with how many like long shots there are,
Hmm.
um, and how pretty visceral the violence feels. And what makes Wolverine unique is the fact that in this movie he has his healing power taken away from him because the Serpent Lady um uses a nanochip bug, puts it in his heart somehow by kissing
and
him, I
and
think,
dulls his powers or
that
something like
dulls his
that. Yeah.
powers. So for the first time he's feeling actual pain.
Yeah.
And I think props to Hugh Jackman because they're talking about Hugh Jackman's performance. He really sells in that initial fight scene during the funeral where he's
Yeah.
getting shot and he's like, why is this hurting? He's
Yeah.
selling the confusion and the pain
Yep.
so well in that
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, I mean it's I mean like when I keep saying like this is an like even going off that and how like tying that to like this is a movie made by an actual director um like with a vision. I mean the entire movie is about him like healing his pain over the loss of Jean over like in
Mm,
the movie there's multiple whether or not you like dream sequences or not. And even I like the movie starts with a dream sequence within a dream sequence. When you first see him he like wakes up and you're like no and then he wakes up again and you're like ah, okay, you're like sure, why not? But like he's constantly haunted by like the pain and regret of that. And in combination, like there's a vulnerability to it, and then you take away his powers, and there's a vulnerability to that too, which I think is like a nice little tandem in terms of like for a movie that ends with, again, regardless of your thoughts on it, a guy fighting an old guy in a samurai silver suit. Like you can
art.
like art. I think it's art, but there's like an actual like attempt at like themes and like character, something that I think I kind of gets overlooked in the criticisms of the movie a lot when people have him is like I'm like they're actually trying for something here. They're tying a lot in and it does add stakes. Yeah, you know the Wolverine's not gonna die, but he can be slowed down. Like it's part of his character. Like he just keeps going. Like he gets to push through, and it's cool to see him take shots to like walk in
Yeah.
front of a gun, thinking he's gonna be okay, and it's not, and he has to like plan through that. I think it's really good. I think it's really really awesome.
I think it was that scene specifically, like the funeral leading up to the fight scene, was like when
Yeah,
I started to realize this movie. When I say something special, I mean relative to like a superhero movie, where I just I love like the reveal, like when the priests are walking, he sees the tattoo and
yeah,
like just barely sees the glimpse of it. And as I said, just like he's trying to go full Wolverine, and then he gets stopped because he gets shot in the stomach, and he's like, "Why does this hurt?" And then
yeah. This is
when he's
weird.
getting clubbed over, and
Yeah,
he's like more confused than anything else, and it's like
yeah.
causing him to panic. Again, props to James Mangold's directing and also Hugh Jackman's performance, because every time I watch that scene, like that confusion hits, and it
Hmm.
feels believable every
Yeah.
time.
No, I completely agree.
I would
I
say
think
some
we
of the stakes though, I'm sorry, some of the stakes though can come with like did you like Madrico?
this is actually going to be the point I jump right
Okay.
into right now. I This is something I got to rewatch, and I'm gonna clarify. I give this 4 stars on Letterboxd. It's a very loose 4 stars. It's more genre based. Like I have fun with it. It's a guilty pleasure. It's if there's a true Tyler guilty pleasure, it's the Wolverine. Um, I think it makes no sense that he has a relationship with the Mahiko over Yukio because Yukio has a lot of the same thematic
All the
similarities.
Madrico versus Yukio stands.
Yeah, wait,
You're gonna ignite a
there
fire in the comments section.
all six of us in the world left. Watching it, I'm like, why does he not have a relationship with Yukio? Because Yukio is someone who was adopted, an orphan who was adopted by this rich family to be like a plaything, like a friend, and
Yeah.
she has like outgrown. I mean, they're adults now, so like, why is she still here? Like this sense of like loss of identity and loss of place is very much in line with the Wolverines themes. I understand why they connected
Well,
those two.
she's like the fun sidekick though.
I
You don't really
know.
have a relationship with the fun sidekick character.
I understand the archetype, but to me, like, I was like, I feel like he would have bonded more with Yukio romantically.
Yeah.
I'm not here to analyze the romance section of it. Uh, because like
We're
you're
like the
like,
team Edward and team Jacob of the
yeah,
Wolverine
you
team.
don't get it. He marked on the young baby. He's a vampire. He's a wolf. One of them's better. Which one were you?
I have not seen it 1 minute of those
Yeah,
movies.
but make it. You got to be on team. I'm
I'm
team Edward.
um
Team Edward.
I'm team Martin Sheen. No, who's the Sheen brother that's in that movie?
It's Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen, yeah.
Wait, no, it's is it Martin Sheen?
I know Martin Sheen's the dad.
Martin Sheen. No, Martin Sheen because Martin Sheen's in Apocalypse Now, right?
Yeah.
Who is the guy? You ever see the movie Passengers with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence?
No.
There's oh, you motherfucker. I'm gonna have to look up this. It's not Martin Short. Bitch. Okay. Hold on. This is a film
Martin
frauds.
Freeman?
Not Martin Freeman. Passengers. Uh uh Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen.
That
Yeah,
guy.
I'm team
Yeah.
Michael Sheen.
I'm team Michael Sheen too. Um I remember when I was 10, that movie came out and I really wanted to read the book and I was not allowed to because my mom thought it'd be too sexual of a book for a 10-year-old.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember that. And I was like, no, I want to read Twilight. She's like, the book is like not fun. Like, what are you doing? But we're talking about Team Edward
So you're
Vampire.
saying that Yukio you thought was a better love
I
interest?
understand she's a side character. I get it. I just think thematically there were potential romance like connections, like, oh, we both alone, both
Mm.
without a sense of identity. But what I don't know, what do you think? What team are you on?
I like Mariko a lot. I mean, Mariko is the name of the love interest in Shogun as well.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's like the biggest tie, I guess. I think he's a good character, and I do like the characterization they get the Yukio too, like you said, when the dad, who is also in the Shogun TV show,
Haruka
playing
Sanada, yeah.
Toranaga, yeah, Sanada, he's like, yeah, you're a plaything, and now she doesn't need you anymore. I
Yeah.
liked both characters a lot. I think it's kind of a shame that Yukio doesn't show up in any other X movies because I think that she has a lot of charisma. Like I think she'd be a good side character
Yeah.
in like another X movies because I think she has that kind of spunk to her
Yeah,
that I
she's
really
pretty cool.
like.
Yeah,
Monica's a little more subdued because she's lived like a more like po political life.
yeah.
But I think they're both very good in the movie. Um, as I do think that most of the side characters I feel like every character serves like a semi-decent role in the
I
movie. Like
think so.
no one feels particularly wasted.
I think so too. The plot of this movie is basically the guy who saved at the beginning wants to keep living. He has a fear of death, and Logan wants
Mm.
to die. So he's like, I could take away your powers if you give them to me, and you can die. Like, I won't kill you, just live in old age. And Wolverine's like, no, I'm good. And then they conspire. That's what the little lizard woman is to do. So it's like it all kind of leads to that first action set piece at the funeral, like you said, which leads into maybe the best scene in the movie, one of the
I would say
best.
one of the best set pieces in superhero
On
cinema.
what break it down. So they run away.
So yeah, Mariko and Wolverine split up from the rest of the pack. They're kind of in like a downtown area of Tokyo, and they get on the bullet train, and Mariko's trying to ignore what's going on, and Wolverine's like, the Yakuza just tried to kill you, like you can't ignore this. So he leaves to like go scope out the area, runs into other Yakuza. They have the coolest fight on the bullet train.
On top
It
of the
is
bullet train.
so creative and good, and like especially because special effects have aged since 11 years ago. It looks great.
It looks pretty
Like
good. It
it
held up.
feels
Yeah.
like it feels you feel the weight of like being on top of a bullet train,
Yeah.
and just like the fact that they use like actual strategy too, like it's not just like they're
The little
standing on the
fake
bullet
out.
train and like fighting. Yeah, they have to
Yeah.
like they fake out things and
Yeah.
where there are barriers and where there are not barriers. Um and like I love when Wolverine just goes flying down the bullet
Yeah.
train with this claws bared. It's a phenomenally made set
Yeah.
piece.
That the every time I've seen the Wolverine, the little where they're like they have to jump over because a bullet train goes like let's say 300 miles an hour. But they have to jump over because it's like barriers high, barriers low,
Yeah.
and he sees because the guy's looking the other way, so he
Yes.
does a little fake jump to launch the
Yeah.
guy up to hit the
Yeah.
barrier. It's so cool. It's like an
Yes.
actual like people thought about strategy. It's
Yeah.
really cool. The movie that scene's sick. It's awesome. Like it holds up now. I love it. It's great. I have
Especially
no
compared to
complaints.
like the action in Low and Wolverine X-Men Origins, where it's so over the top. Like to have a scene where it's like a little fun. It's fun to be on top of have a fight on top of the bullet train Wolverine.
Yeah.
But like the fact that they have to use actual strategy and like they
Yeah.
can't just stand and fight
Yeah.
on the train
Yeah.
is such a good set piece.
I think it's pretty shocking that our standards in superhero movies have gotten so low that like nobody can really think of a set piece this creative or fun.
I just think of like that ending of Shang-Chi where it's like I don't remember like I watched that movie for the first time last year
Yeah.
and like rewatching the Wolverine for like the fifth time or whatever, seeing that bullet train fight had more impact on me than watching Shang-Chi for the first time.
Well,
You know,
Shang-Chi
where
has one really cool sequence. It doesn't look as good, honestly, where they're on like the scaffolding, where I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then Shang-Chi ends, I guess, in a kind of a similar critique. A lot of these movies do with like a big bombastic superhero, but like Shang-Chi ends with like two dragons fighting when like the good parts of the movie were like the father-son dynamic. I'm just thinking of like what set pieces from like let's say Marvel movies. Let's just put Marvel, keep in the same universe. Compared to the bullet train. Is it like the
I
Steve
liked like the one take in Guardians 3. I thought was pretty
the
good.
one taking Guardians 3 is pretty good. I'd say like the elevator set piece is pretty good in Winter
Yeah,
Soldier.
that stuff is good.
The Bucky Cap fight in Civil War I like.
Oh, we're talking like even 2010s Marvel.
I'm just thinking like what like this is not like I understand that this movie is not there are genuine flaws I have with the Wolverine. There are genuine like stuff where you're like even like the guilty pleasure doesn't know away some stuff where you're like, oh, that's the point of this. Um but like it's fun. And I think it embrace like the fighting on top of a bullet train is a goofy comic book thing that they embrace and they do it really well. And I struggle to see that level of creativity in the wheels turning of like the machine of like of a superhero movies now. Like I wish like I just wish there was fun stuff like this. I just do. But the James Gunn superhero movies are always the exception. They have been. He makes good movies. Like they are the obvious like branch away. I don't know. That's just me.
Um, yeah, and so I guess we can go into I mean, if we want to talk about like the small, the character, the deep character scenes,
In the
um,
Wolverine.
yeah, because
Okay,
like
I
after that
okay.
they go to the hotel and then
I
they go
li-
out. What
I literally wrote a note. So I took notes on this. I literally wrote a note where it was oh my god. I said Wolverine in a fuck hotel, hell yeah. Something hard and sharp would be put into me if this happened to me. Would or something hard and sharp would be getting put into me if this happened to me. I
did you
implied
giggle while you made that comment?
yeah, I
Yeah, I
told to
can
all of it she didn't
imagine.
laugh.
Yeah, no, it was pretty it was okay. But so they have like they go outside of Tokyo and that's where they form their relationship, Mariko, Wolverine. It's not the most deep depthful thing in the world, but it's serviceable. Mariko gets
Yeah.
captured and Wolverine has to go save her. I love the scene where Yukio and him go to like the her Moniko's fiance, who's like the head of law
Oh
enforcement
yeah.
in Tokyo, and he throws him out the window,
Yeah.
and Yuki goes, "How did you know there was a pool there?" And he goes, "I didn't."
I didn't.
Like that's like edge to the character, like he's pissed. I love
Yeah.
it. That stuff was great. Um, the Sonata fight scene,
Yeah, we should
the
talk about
samurai fight
that.
scene, which again, testament to Hugh Jackman as an actor because in lesser hands, the scene where he's like reaching to grab the microchip out of his heart could have been so stupid.
Yeah.
But like he adds again, he takes it seriously, so like it feels unnerving to watch. It's kind of
Yeah.
silly, but it's also unnerving because he's taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Where he's just like,
I wanna
like I always think of
yeah.
like Tom Cruise in The Mummy, like the blood, blood,
Whoa,
like
whoa.
like that's like a bad example. Whereas Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman, adds narrative and like emotional weight to scenes that
Yeah.
could come off as goofy in hands of a lesser actor.
So I want to talk about the scene more because that is probably like if we're talking about like X-Men scenes, that's probably one of the best ones in all of the X-Men movies. I want to go back to that Mariko Hugh Jackman stuff where basically my whole critique of it is like I get what they're doing. They're basically because Wolverine is like his entire character is like this conflict between like living a normal life, like settling down and losing the people. And it's like they're trying to it's like they're paving the way for some of the themes they're going to explore even more in Logan. Which I don't know if that they were developing the ideas for Logan because Logan comes out 4 years after this movie. But like James Mangold clearly has an idea or a vision for what he wants to do with the Wolverine character because they're just moments of like in a small community, him chopping a tree, him on a
Yeah,
little walk, and you're like, it's like 25% too uninteresting to support the 20 minutes of the movie it kind of takes away.
I said it
Uh,
was like Lost in Translation meets X-Men, where
Mixing X-Men.
it's like outsider in Japan
Yeah.
learning about the culture, and then but also bullet train fights.
Yep. Which I want to throw out there is like I think the movie has pretty solid stakes. That is the scene where it's like you guys are on the run from like very bad people and you're just like in a small community chopping a tree. It's like that like sense of like urgency the movie is constantly building and building and building and building kind of goes away. Um oh, we forgot about the Archer boyfriend guy.
We'll get to him when we talk about
The third act.
another
Okay,
great set piece.
so
Yeah,
that set piece with Haruka Sanada, I don't think I'm saying his name right, where he is gonna kill his daughter, and then the Viper Lady poisons him to make him
yeah,
mad, and he fights the Wolverine in a scene that's like legitimately well choreographed. It has incredible like art design, production design. It's really well made. Wolverine gets his healing factor back. He does like a good job, like he fights him really well, but you also learn like Logan's not trying to kill him. Like he even
yeah,
has a scene where he gets a sword and he's like, "You try to kill your daughter, like live with that." And only when he
yeah.
comes back to kill him does he ultimately like stick the claws in him. And I thought that's pretty
What are
cool.
you?
He went,
The
the
Wolverine.
Wolverine. Yeah, it's great. And then
Yeah.
like I've said before, where he like pulls the sword out of him is
Yes.
just it's cinema.
Yeah.
It rocks. It
Fucking Martin Scorsese.
yeah, fuck you.
Took you 3.5 hours. You couldn't make a scene as good as Logan
The
pulling his
Woody.
sword out of him.
That is the scene that if I know for a fact, if I have ever gone on YouTube to watch highlights from this movie, I have watched that scene just to get
On
the little
repeat.
on repeat, just for an hour. Hugh Jackman looks yoked in that scene,
Mm.
like shredded beyond belief.
Yeah.
He might be bigger in Days of Future Past, but my God, that dude is in incredible
He's
shape.
incredibly dehydrated in those
Yeah, do you
scenes.
see the interviews where he's like, I had a headache, I was so
Yeah.
miserable. He's like, I could smell water. It's like, what are you guys doing to these people?
He's a mutant after all. He
Yeah,
has the
I
ability to
just
smell water.
smelling water.
I could I was so dehydrated that I could smell water.
Yeah,
Man, yikes.
it's pretty.
He's
It's pretty.
dedicated though.
He's dedicated. He looks great.
So which then leads
The
Logan to going to the tower to save his girl.
the
And
dreaded
then
third action set piece that everybody thinks tanks this movie, which I think
which
is
I
actually pretty.
disagree.
I disagree too. I
Um
do. I have one agreement on a complaint though. I want to
I
see
have one agreement too.
what's
But
yours.
I don't like how the Silver Samurai has the old man inside it.
That's one of them. It's a little too goofy.
Yeah,
It's
like
like it.
I'm okay with like robot samurai,
Yeah,
but I'm not okay with robot samurai with old man
yeah,
inside of it.
piloted by a 98-year-old man. Yeah.
Yeah.
My main critique is this movie is building and building and building towards the Wolverine versus Ninja or like Ninja. And
Yeah.
we're like, let's fucking go. The Wolverine's gonna fight some ninja. It's time. Like, this is a set piece. Literally, like, how could you fuck this up? And then they just kind of shoot him in the back and then knock him out.
I love that. I love how he gets completely outclassed, to
He
be
is
honest.
like, you think so? Like, I think it's I. Okay, tell me what you thought about think about that because he
Because it's
basically
like
goes to town.
he's like the Westerner is like I was like I'm gonna tell you who's boss and it gets immediately wrecked.
Hmm.
I feel like it even though he's invincible at this point,
Yeah.
it still reminds us that he's not immortal.
Okay,
Like
that's a
he
good
has his
point.
healing powers back, but he's still like over his head to a certain extent.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
Okay. I can understand that. I just
And
think
plus,
it's
it's
like,
beautiful, like that little town at
yeah,
nighttime, like those shots, like with the snow on the ground. It reminded me of
yeah,
like the ending of Lady Vengeance. Like remember like
yeah,
Lady Vengeance,
yeah,
like with like it's like dark with the snow everywhere.
yeah,
Like very quiet town. It kind of gave me that vibe.
yeah. Is Lady Vengeance a better movie than this?
No,
No. Yeah, I
Lady
agree too.
Vengeance is a much better movie than this.
um, I do agree. It does have that great image of with all like the ropes and spears in his back is a really great visual
Yes.
thing. I do agree. So he gets knocked out in that. It's just for me, it's like a little blue ball. You're like,
Okay.
okay. You're like you had a. It's like they favored the Silver Samurai fight and the Viper fight over Logan versus like you can just give me like 3 minutes of him
I
fighting
would
and
have
then get
preferred
outclassed.
the climax of the movie being Logan versus Ninja versus Logan versus Giant Samurai
Me too.
mech and Viper Lady,
Yeah.
but I do like the narrative purpose of that quote unquote fight scene with the ninjas where he gets wrecked.
Okay, I do get that. He wakes up, Silver Samurai. It's the old guy
Yeah,
in a
it's a
really
pretty good fight. Like it's choreographed well, I think. I don't think
yeah.
the Silver Samurai looks bad,
No,
like
he
from a
actually looks
CGI
pretty good.
perspective. It looks
Yeah.
pretty good. Um, I do like how like Yukio has her conversation, like the secondary boss fight with Viper Lady, and she beats her in like 3 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And she just like knocks her and like breaks her neck and she dies.
Yeah,
I like the fact
yeah,
that she gets beat and like molts her skin like a lizard.
that was cool. Yeah,
Um, the lizard lady and the boyfriend are pretty shitty characters. They have like no, they're just there and then they both die and you're
he
like, well,
redeems himself at the end though.
but like, what's his like? He's a non-character. He's like a single like a extremely like vapid empty character in my mind. He's like a genuinely big
He's not
fault
an
to
amazing character, but I do like how like they give him something at the end.
a little redemption.
Yeah, he's like the good guy in his own head.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. So
Um,
what do you think? Like, let's break it down. Like, why do you think people don't like this ending?
because I think the movie is so like relatively grounded that
Yeah,
I understand. I think if there was an old man in the samurai suit, it would have been different. But I think the old man in the samurai suit is what ultimately makes it more goofy, unnecessarily goofy.
yeah. I feel like you make the samurai suit like 25% smaller and all the critiques go away. I think because it looks like a giant mech
Make it
suit,
bigger and get the old man out of it.
you
That's
get
what
the
I
old man
say.
out of it.
Make
I
it
want
twice as big
Logan has to fight the robot from Pacific
and make
Rim.
3 of them.
Yeah, make 8 of them and have him be as giant. Just make it Pacific Rim. Like Pacific Rim. That joke would go over better with Mark, who likes Pacific Rim.
Yeah,
Uh,
I refuse to
it's just
acknowledge Pacific Rim.
I think it's because you're right. They basically tell a pretty like moderately grounded superhero story, and then he's just fighting like a giant robot with a lizard lady and
Yeah,
a ninja with vague characteristics, and you're like, oh, whatever. I
yeah,
It's fine. It's like it embraces the comic book goofiness, and
yeah.
I'm bought in. It doesn't. It
Yeah.
has never.
I'm committed to the journey. I want to see the
Yeah.
characters make it out. Okay.
There's never once been a time where I've watched this when I've been like, you know what, this is the time. Every time I'm like, it's fine. It's
Mm.
fine as the baseline. Honestly, the lowest point it hits in that is like it's fine. I'm into it. I'm hooked by that point. The fact that it's an old guy who's like, give me your the fact that he like turns young for a bit and then dies
He gets a knife
anyways.
in the head and he's like,
And then falls off, yeah, and then he dies, and you're like, all right, cool. I also remember it being pretty like
Logan's such a dick. He stabs him with his claws and then throws him
and then
off.
throws him off. Yeah. So he because he didn't die. He died on the impact too, which is
Yeah.
great. Uh I thought it was
Multiple
pretty
impacts. He hits the rocks multiple times.
it's the wall and the rocks.
Yeah.
Um though to be fair, he does jump like 11 stories down and survives. I just want to
Yeah.
throw that out there. So but I always thought
So
it was pretty
Wolverine's part two.
yeah.
Will the old
Oh,
man
he'll be
come back?
back. Except he's like 130 instead. Like he's like that little thing, that little worm in the wheelchair from SpongeBob this time around.
Oh, all I know is that that's freaking Deadpool 3. They're gonna make fun of the Wolverine somehow, and I'm gonna walk out. I'm gonna
So
walk out.
we're gonna talk about Deadpool and Wolverine with Logan. I have
Yeah.
some thoughts about that. Mainly I'm very curious how much money they drove up to Hugh Jackman's house for that
Yeah.
movie. Uh, so
Well, I know Ryan Reynolds and I know Hugh Jackman pretends to be friends with Ryan Reynolds as part of a
I
Make-A-Wish thing
saw I was
he
in
agreed
Market
to 20
Basket.
years ago.
Was it Market Basket? I saw People Magazine or like one of the magazines that are left, like a big one, and it was like Ryan Reynolds an interview with him, and it was like interviewed by Hugh Jackman, and I was like, man, Hugh,
We
what are
met
you
in this
doing?
year.
Uh,
So
the Wolverine,
Logan,
good, good though. Yes,
great.
great. Can I talk about the end credit scene real quick?
Okay.
It ends with the reveal that Professor X and Magneto are in an airport, and they stop him. And
Cinema.
they're like, cinema. And they're like, we need your help. There's a bigger threat coming. And then the next movie is Days of Future Past, in which it's like 25 years in the future. They are the same age. I'm
Don't worry
assuming.
about it.
How does Logan get his metal claws
Don't worry
back?
about it.
It makes no sense. They just completely scrapped it. They scrapped it. They did. You can't deny it. They had an idea, and they're like, nah, whatever. Here's Days of Future Past instead.
It's
Because Days
cinema.
of Future Past was meant to be the third movie, and they didn't make me to make it. I did the fucking research. Logan. This one is I might have even more to say than than the
Oh my
Wolverine.
God, we've been here for so long already.
Let's talk about
Take the
Logan.
reins.
I I don't want to tie this back to the Wolverine. Does the Wolverine suffer in any capacity because it's not rated R and some of the violence is more subdued? Because they do have to cover some of the claw hits. Like you can tell watching it.
I think it would be better, but I'm not watching the action scenes thinking it needs more blood.
Okay. Because I think that ties in directly to Logan.
In
Logan,
fact, I think Logan relies on blood too much as opposed to making creative action set pieces.
we are going to talk about that. I'm very curious. It came out in 2017. It was a box office hit, almost $620 million. It's a hard R superhero movie directed by James Mangold. It is the supposed, and for 7 years, it was the send off of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Hugh Jackman was, I'm assuming at this point, being like, man, I'm so sexy, but it's so hard to stay in shape.
I'm so
I'm
thirsty.
so thirsty. I can smell the water in my pores.
I haven't had a
Please.
drink since 2001.
No, they aren't letting me. I am just working out and eating chicken breast and not even having any water. Please, someone help me. Uh, this was, I saw this in theaters. Did we see this together?
I saw it with Heath.
You saw it with Heath. Okay.
Yeah.
Who did I see this with?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It came out in 2017. We were in college by this point.
Yeah.
Did I bring my ex to the theater? What a weird movie to bring a girl to who had definitely never seen any of the X-Men movies at the time. Um, this was this was a big like, holy shit, this movie has incredible reviews. Everybody's talking about it being the
I just
greatest
remember seeing the trailer. Like the trailer
with
comes
Johnny
out
Cash's
and
Hurt.
it's yeah,
Yeah,
hurt. And, like I remember just being like you've never
yeah,
seen this before. Like an actual hard R.
yeah,
Like it felt like it's like, oh, Old Man Logan's gonna be edgier than normal. You're like, okay, yeah, sure. And then you see the trailer, and you're like, whoa,
yeah,
this is
like
different.
yeah,
This
and
feels different.
it feels different. Do you remember how many times have you seen it? Do you remember your thoughts with it?
I honestly think this is the second time I've seen it in full.
Me too. I haven't seen it
Yeah.
since theaters. Yeah.
I did watch. So I have a funny story actually.
Okay.
Like when it came on HBO, like a year after,
Yeah.
it's like 2018. My dad was watching it, and during the emotional ending where Logan is dying,
Yeah.
my dog, who was probably like
18.
14 at the time,
Yeah.
Murphy. So he's like older, but he's still like he was doing really well still at the time. Like he slept all day, and then he's a Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
It's a short-haired Shih Tzu, just to paint the scene. Slept all day, decided at 8:30 at night that he needed to exert all of his energy, and just had his toy on the ground and was just barking at us. So like Logan's dying, he's holding hands with the little girl, and my
Yeah.
dog is going, uh, uh, uh,
Hey, hey,
uh,
hey.
uh.
And little girl's like, Daddy. And as he's bleeding, I was, "Arr, arr, arr, arr." You're like, good God.
Yeah.
Oh, oh my God. Murphy was awesome. I just like to think you're like, Murphy, he's dying. He,
He's like, I don't care. I slept through the whole movie.
yeah,
I want
fuck
to
you.
play.
I want to play right now. Um, this movie kind of rocks. It,
It
I,
kind of rocks, but I don't like it as much as the general viewer of this movie.
so it's pretty interesting because, I want to ask you about that. I know you're literally in your letterbox review and your whole thing. You literally said you're like, I just can't explain it. It doesn't click as much.
Yeah.
I think one, this is an actual movie, in my
That's why I don't
opinion.
like it. Is that what you're saying?
No, 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 no. I'm saying like I'm just saying like
Tyler,
it's
who only loves actual movies.
who I listen. My taste is
Like John Wick
impeccable.
2 with Common.
Hey, hey, fuck you. John Wick 2 rocks. John Wick 2 rocks. And that scene with Common rocks. You're a bitch if you think Common is detracting in any way from John Wick 2. Um, it's pretty interesting how this movie is. Like, if that makes any sense. The movie opens because you're like, oh my God, hard R Logan. Like, we've been waiting since
The first word he says
2001.
is the F word.
It's like fuck. And
Yeah.
then they literally in the first scene is it's really interesting is James Mangold just being like, I'm gonna get this isn't our hard R movie, we're getting out of the way. Someone are trying to steal like the plates on his wheels on his limo.
Yeah.
Because the whole movie is like a last man in the West. It's a Western. It's a Western. It's
He's working as like a limo driver right
if
now. He's like
yeah,
laying low because all mutants are pretty much extinct.
extinct. Yeah, and we can talk about why, but like if the movie isn't, if you aren't sure it's a western, there's a scene in a hotel where they watch a western about the last gun in the West. If you weren't paying attention, I thought that was really. I wasn't a big fan of that, by the way.
Okay.
I was like, come on. I was like, we're a little bit smarter than that. Like, it's the last gun in the West. You know, some people got to be what they got to
When
be.
Patrick Stewart looks at the camera and talks to us as if we're all 10-year-old
Yeah,
girls.
he's like, do you know that this movie was? And you're like, all right. But it opens with
Jane came out in 1961.
yeah.
It received critical acclaim. Nowadays, it is known as being a revisionist Western in which it takes a darker look at a main hero of a Western. This was truly inspiring for the time period.
That was pretty good. Did you have that like written? That was pretty good. Uh,
Thank you.
it opens up with him just like saying fuck, and then getting the shit beat out of him, and then him just stabbing people in the fucking head, cutting
Yeah.
off arms and legs. It's really violent, really graphic, honestly, to a point where even all of us like, oh, like,
Mm.
oh, uh, I think this movie has a legitimate case for being the best superhero movie of the 2010s.
I wouldn't say it's even the best Wolverine movie of the 2010s.
I think I was shocked at how good this movie was because I haven't seen it since theaters. I was shocked at how cruel it went for a superhero movie. Uh it's like really somber and like dour and kind of just mean at times. Uh really like effective. They really lean into their ability to use the hard R like rating. Uh
Not the hard R word.
not the hard R word, yeah. Just a few examples like Logan and them all go to a family, and then a teenager is brutally murdered, and a family is brutally murdered. Patrick Stewart's character dies in like a really sad way. There's not like
Mm.
good closure. Um, kids are tortured and experimented on in this movie. Uh,
the scenes where they like commit suicide, like they jump off buildings because
Yeah, they
they'd
like
rather die than be.
government testing,
Yeah,
and like there's a scene where they're just starting to kill the kids because they're all failures.
yeah,
The world is extremely bleak and like gray. There's a lot of like immigration stuff because they're
yeah,
constantly on the border. Uh it's it's just kind of like there's like one moment of like joy, like acceptance at the end, but just people die, and they die in like very like uncinematic ways. They die just like people, which is really like it's really jarring to think about. Like, oh, like I know Guardians 3 is an exception, but like, hey, let's go watch the Marvels. I'm not trying to be a fucking right wing commentator on YouTube, but like to see
you hate it
what
because there's women in it.
I hate it because it's women in it. Yeah, it's three women, and it's just that's three too many. Yeah, no, obviously not.
They're too empowered.
They're too empowered. They have they're beating people. No, I'm not like that. I'm not criticizing fucking, but it's like to watch what that movie is versus what they are now. It's shocking that like nobody really learned that people want to see good movies in this. Like Guardians 3 is like half of the movie is like animal torture.
Yeah.
Like it's like dark shit. And this one
Mm.
really elevates. I don't know. Like I'm yammering on a bunch about this. What do you think about like the opening of the movie, like the setup of the movie, everything with
I
this movie?
love the first third of the movie.
In the first third, until what point?
Up until they have like their escape on the train. Like when they not on the train, but they cut by the train
Yeah.
and they have to stare down with Boyd. What's Boyd?
Who
What?
Boyd Holbrook,
Boyd Holbrook.
who is not in this movie enough, is my one of my main
No,
critiques.
he's not in this movie nearly enough.
Nearly enough. He's really cool, and he's just not in the movie half the
He
time.
starts off super cool, but then it's like you realize that there's no depth to him
Yeah. He's the
later
guy with
on,
the
and it's
robot
like
arm.
it's a huge waste of potential for
Hmm.
because he's good in what he's in.
I think that's my
Um,
main critique of the movie is they set him up as something really interesting and then do absolutely fuck all with him.
yeah. I mean, you didn't love X-24 and generic scientist, British evil scientist man.
X-24 is interesting because I there's like legitimate thematic elements with him, but yeah, like Richard Grant as a scientist who's being like, I killed the X-Men. You're like, all right,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Um,
So you like until that first action set piece where X-23 is revealed to be Wolverine's daughter, and then they
once we get to there, the movie dips in quality for me.
what about it dips for you?
Keep in mind, I like Silver Samurai in the
Okay,
Wolverine. I think they could have done something really creative with like the main villain. I feel like Boyd Holbrook should have been the main villain.
I think so too.
Um,
Or his
I,
corporation or
I think
whatever.
it's
Yeah,
like I just think the X-24 is so uninspired, and
that's the point,
when
though. I think that's the point.
the point isn't to be lame.
I think he's lame. I think it's like you taking like a faceless, like you take the banal, like basic animal instincts of the Wolverine, what he is trying to move away from, and he is the main antagonist. That rage, that like pure unbridled violence. That's like it takes
Yeah,
a
but I
core.
think it's made even more lame when he's like murdering people and the generic British scientist is going, "Stop, X-24, listen to me, heal,
But he's like
stop, what
he's
are
a
you
wild
doing?"
animal. It's like it's what the
It's
Wolverine has been
so
compared to the
like the movie
entire
is supposed to
time.
be edgy and grounded, but like that stuff was so stupid to me.
See, like, are you saying that because it they bring that in, and then like there's that scene where X-23 decapitates a guy on screen, and you're like, oh,
That was cool.
that
But
is
like
cool.
again, like I just feel like the clone of Wolverine is uninspired to me. It has the most uninspired evil bad scientist character
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like it's like a clash between like 2000 superhero stuff with like modern day like we're trying to push the limits of like a rated R superhero movie
Yeah.
kind of thing where it's like they don't gel to me. That
Yeah.
first act is so good. Um and how it all builds to this conversation at their compound. And then after that, it just becomes like, oh, let's talk about Shane. Let's literally explain to you the theme of the novel of the movie. And after that, you have a pretty good scene with the family, who they help with the horses.
Yeah.
Then after that, it's like, oh, the villain is this X-24. It's this Wolverine. And then they have again a stupid scene, like we have a stupid British evil scientist man. And then like that's like my
So
problem.
this is what I want to talk about is like so the setup of this movie is essentially it starts the X-Men are all dead, and it's revealed that in some capacity Charles Xavier has lost control of his mind. He's having seizures and he has the most powerful mind. And he, in some capacity, they hint at it, has killed the majority of the X-Men.
Mm.
It is a future with the 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 manipulation of like corn syrup and food has basically eradicated the X gene, the gene that creates new mutants. So there's no new mutants. The only new mutants are the ones created genetic like artificially in a lab, and that's the backdrop. And the real story is Wolverine's body is failing him. The adamantium in his body is
It's like
poisoning him.
poisoning him.
He's dying. He in like you know that like going into this movie, it's like this is Hugh Jackman's last run as the Wolverine. Like everybody's like it's done, and like the movie starts and you're like he's gonna die. Like even if you didn't watch a single trailer from this movie, even if you didn't do a single ounce of marketing, you didn't know his last movie, the death flags are like
Mm.
immediate from the moment you see him like get shot and like really struggle. He like has to like bleed his claws to get it back in because it's
Yeah.
like they're failing. Like it's and what I think is interesting is you're basically waiting like how do you give this character and this is why I think a lot of these critiques that I think I don't think are entirely invalid that you're giving are are the movie is not necessarily about the villains. It's about how do we give this character a proper send off because he is going to die.
Yeah,
There's no
everything.
doubt.
I want to clarify that everything with Logan's character arc I think is amazing and
Yeah,
like a perfect end to like a beloved character. I
yeah.
just think there's like a lot of uninspired elements with the plot and with the side characters that I wish had,
I'm
more nuance.
I can agree because I can agree with that. I think Hugh Jackman in this, and this is probably my big takeaway from this, is like you get a lot of people being like, why wasn't Chris Evans nominated for Captain America Civil War? Did you see the scene at the end? Like, I think there's a legitimate case that Hugh Jackman is so good in this that if there is like a first nomination
Mm.
for a comic book movie, it probably like
Well, Heath Ledger was the first.
well, I know he's the first, but like a Marvel comic book
Yeah.
movie, there is a legitimate argument that Hugh Jackman could have been nominated. I think he's so fucking good in this movie.
Same thing with like, even if you go to TV shows, like why wasn't Tom Hiddleston nominated for an Emmy for Loki
Exactly.
season one?
Like,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, there are elements where it's like there sometimes like the Marvel or like superhero sheen like
Yep.
prevents them from getting any sort of nomination for things when they're actually genuinely good in a
Yeah.
role.
The scene when Logan there's that little time where after Charles dies where he's like burying him and he's like so choked up and sad like he can barely talk to the scene where like he's with little X-23 in the car and he gets punched in the face and he's like I am fucked up. And you
Yeah.
just like he's like eyes are like bloodshot and he looks just like on death's door because I mean the movie's about him dying basically where you're just like my god like there's a lot of like I know he plays his character is angry reserved the entire movie until
I just like the idea of like Logan. It's like quote from Colors Wonderland because he's about to die,
oh, he's about to die
obviously.
I'm so fucked up yeah because he's obviously about to die um there's just a lot of like I understand he's playing like his the outward character is angry, frustrated, reserved, but there's a lot of like the subtle character, like the subtle acting, like the frustration, the rage, like it all is so
Mm.
fucking good. And a lot of that is also in combination with like the makeup, the makeup artist, the production design of it all elevate this like weathered old gray dying performance. My fucking god, he's so good in this movie. There are times like I'm legitimately like, wow, like blown away. Like I forgot how good he is.
His
It's like
death scene emotionally impacted me again.
yeah,
Like he is so good. Like when he
so
says,
good.
"Oh, that's what it feels like."
Yeah, and he
Um,
dies. Yeah.
he's it's an incredible performance. Everyone is good in the movie. I just feel like no one is given um much to chew on besides. I mean, Laura is given a decent
Oh,
amount, and I
Laura is the
guess
name, yeah.
Xavier is given it a lot too. But I don't know. I just feel like there's like an oversimplification in the last two acts of the movie that, even though I really like it, I can't help but feel like what the first act sets up is wasted potential.
Interest
In the
Interesting.
later stuff. Yeah.
I definitely don't think this is a perfect movie, and I really can't disagree with you on like Boyd Holbrook being a wasted character or like anything else outside of the main. But like I think I'm able to overlook it because I'm viewing it solely as a lens of like they needed to get a vehicle to get to his death and to make an emotional send off. And how do we have his character have growth from this point. And I think if you filter that with just a lot of really cool scenes in between, a lot of really effective scenes, I find it really hard to like fault major a lot of this movie. It's still awesome that scene at the hotel where Charles has a seizure and he has to like slowly just like kill the guys who are there to kill him, where he like
Mm.
puts the fucking things through their skulls. It's still really, really cool to me. Um, there's that. I mean, the scene at the house with the X-24 murdering the family and that first fight with Logan where he gets like cut. There's that scene where he gets like stabbed and then stabbed under the armpit and then like thrown. You're just like, oh God, like it's really like really well done. Um,
Sorry, I thought I silenced my phone.
is there a more important call that we is there something more important than Logan, the
No,
send off?
I'm just silencing it. I
You're silencing it.
apologize.
Um, I don't know. I really love this movie. I really dig it. What'd you think of Patrick Stewart?
He's great. He plays crazy very well with like hints of his old self.
Yeah.
Um, he's masterful in it. Uh, he does the old man thing really
That's my
well, where he's
dad,
like, I need to go to
Chuck.
the bathroom. I don't need your help.
Yeah.
Like where he's like he's very unreasonable with his demands. But
Oh.
then also you get the what?
No, I just said, oh, like I was responding to you. You get me.
Where and then but then you get shades of the old Professor X, which is
Yeah. That
also
one scene
great.
where he calms down the horses, like the one time his powers are used effectively. I'm just looking
Yeah,
at the notes that I took. Um, like of this, like it's his own like powers of his own volition are used for good or for hope.
yeah,
I like when he's like, "That's my dad, Chuck," and he's like in the
yeah.
window. I thought was pretty good. Yeah. I don't know. Like, what'd you think of the violence? Like, I know you said you kind of like got tired of it, but what'd you think?
It's good. Like I love the fight at the compound, and like I like the scene where he's butchering the guys as he's like trying to catch up to Xavier. I just feel like it just doesn't have the excitement to me that the Wolverine has, I
Okay.
guess. I can't really again, I'm having trouble explaining it, but I feel like it relies on the gimmick of violence more than like does anything interesting with the violence, where it's like, yeah, you see people get torn up, which is cool. But then like I wanted another step. I wanted something
Yeah.
more than just
I
like him running and stabbing people over and over again.
I get that. I think it does. I can agree that like at a certain point you're like, all right, like they're using like the violence is R. I think there's enough creative uses of it. I mean, the first time we see it, that first set piece on the compound when Laura kills those guys and like walks out with a severed head and throws it, and you're like, fuck yeah. You're like
Yeah.
that's awesome. I like the slow-mo scene where they stab him in the head. You know what? Actually, no, I disagree. I think the violence all rocks. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really have a. I mean, maybe when X-24 is like killing those random farmers, but he has like you have like one cool decapitation, and you're like, oh, like sick. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
I just kind of bored with it after a while. That's all
see,
I can say.
I'm a monkey brain guy. I
Yeah.
see people getting decapitated and their arms cut off, and I'm like, oh, that's world right there. I'm really curious though. Like the ending. You said you got emotional. What do you think of this as a send off to this character?
I'm glad that this is the last Wolverine movie ever that Hugh Jackman retired the character and it's just over for now.
Yep.
And we'll never, and it can end with Logan and Hugh Jackman can preserve his legacy and it won't
Yeah.
be ruined
It won't be ruined
by,
again.
uh, like just throwing one name out there, Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
So they
We're
can make erectile dysfunction jokes,
we're gonna
at
talk about that
Wolverine's
in a second.
expense.
We'll talk about that in a second. I have one more point about Logan.
Okay.
And when I kind of liked, I kind of actually like it a little bit about the Wolverine. I think Wolverine has it to a certain extent. Logan, the stakes are like really small. And I kind of
Mm,
really like that. It's just like we gotta get these guys, these kids. There's no like, oh, the world's ending, or oh no, like it's not like Days of Future Past where it's like they're gonna kill the president. Like,
mm,
oh my God. Or even Apocalypse, where it's like that guy's evil. Like it's just like, hey, we're gonna send off this character and this small company with this other version of me is trying to kill me. Like we got to get these kids to safety. It's nice, and the Wolverine has it to a certain extent too, where it's like, oh, it's just people want Wolverine's powers, and Wolverine doesn't want him to have the powers, and he wants to protect this girl. And yeah, there's a Silver Samurai at the end and a giant robot, but like it's still a pretty personal thing. It's not like the Silver Samurai is going to zap the life out of everybody in the small village, and we're running out of time, and Logan has to stop. It's like it's kind of nice. These movies
mm.
I think they work well with the outside of Wolverine, Origins Wolverine, but like Wolverine's a character that the stakes don't have to be super big. Um, not to talk about Marvel more, but I actually like that about like Spider-Man Homecoming. And I don't like that as much as like No Way Home. Is Spider-Man
No
Homecoming's
Way
like this
Home was like when the epic stakes really
or
dragged on me, where I was
yeah,
like, this is really need to be so stupidly
yeah.
big.
Or the stakes are almost too big to quantify. Like all the people from the multiverse. It's like how many people isn't that just infinity? Like if it's a
Yeah.
it's like it's unquantifiable. And it's I like about No Way Home or Homecoming is like it's a guy in a vulture suit and he's the dad of the girl he's trying to date.
Yeah.
That's
It's
pretty
much
cool.
simpler stakes.
Yeah, it's much simpler. And movies work better when they're simpler stakes, unless you have a build up towards like a big event story. I get it. But Logan, simple, small stakes. I don't know if we'll
Mm.
ever see stakes like that again in an X-Men movie whenever they decide to reboot it. Um, but yeah, I liked when they turned the X over on the side. That one got me.
That was great.
That
Yeah,
was great.
very great.
Uh,
So how excited how excited are you to see If by Ryan Reynolds, the family film of the
did the
year?
movie already come out?
Yeah, but how excited do you see it again and again,
I don't know. I don't care anymore. These movies
and
look
then get your subscription to Mint Mobile at the same time?
and buy his alcohol is actually pretty. Aviation gin, I've had it. It's actually pretty good.
I will doubt that, but okay.
Do you like gin?
I don't I don't drink too much gin, to be honest.
Are you more of a brown liquor guy?
Yeah.
I like tequila and gin the most. I don't like vodka that much. I don't like
Tequila
spice.
is the hardest of them all. How do you like that the most?
Tequila just tastes good to me. I like tequila and like my
Tequila,
drink.
you, I don't know what watered down tequila you've had, but
What are you talking about? No, I like margaritas. I like
oh, okay, it's not straight.
no, I'm obviously oh I've not I know when
Okay.
I do shots I do tequila shots.
Wow.
You don't do what do you do for shots then when you do a shot?
I'm not. You like telling everyone all your personal information. I keep things to myself.
I'll ask you off camera then. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, before we get to it, I forgot this is Search for Modern Classic.
Yeah.
uh we'll talk about that in a
All
second.
right. Logan is a modern classic. Wolverine is not a modern classic, even though I like the Wolverine more. You got it out of me. Okay. Are you happy?
I wanted to get
Are
to
you
there.
happy?
Okay, hold on, hold on, hold
I'll
on.
not indulge you.
I don't know. Is Logan a modern classic?
Yes,
Okay,
it's like it's the best send off to a superhero we've had, and
hold on.
there's
No,
literally
hold
no
on.
competition.
Where we might have a case where legitimately a movie that comes out after removes a movie from modern classic status. Logan is a movie that exists on the notion that this is Hugh Jackman. A literally when people are like, "What's the best casting ever in movies?" Hugh Jackman's up there. Like
Yeah.
who is literally a superhero of our generation. We grew up with this character. The Wolverine, obviously, yeah, it's not a super modern classic. People don't like it. Yeah, it ushered in like it just ushered in Logan. Logan is a hard R movie that was a massive box office success, was a great send off for the character. We could talk about the cultural impact, but it survived on the fucking legacy that this character would never come back. And I know it's money. Film is a medium that an art form that survives on capitalistic ventures. I understand. What the fuck is this movie, Deadpool Wolverine movie, doing? It looks fine. But why? But like that movie could legitimately, depending on what they do with the Wolverine character, could take Logan out of modern classic status. I think it could. What do you think?
It could potentially, but as it stands right now, I mean, like, there's no better rated R superhero movie. There's no better send off to superhero. Logan made so much money, even though
Yeah.
it was a risk to make it rated R.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, like, there's no denying
I'm
that
not denying
it's
it.
one of the iconic superhero movies of the 2010s.
I fucking love it. I love it so much. But like, are we gonna? I mean, we're seeing Deadpool and Wolverine.
And that Lara X, she's going on to have a pretty good career so
Yeah,
far. So it's I don't know. I think
it's not.
I don't. There's like no debate to me
It's
really,
not even the last
unless
time. Ugh.
Deadpool and Wolverine is like the biggest dumpster fire of a movie ever.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing that could change it.
I
So
just
yes, there's a chance.
I just don't know what they do with his character anymore that justifies bringing him back. I'm a little like because now we're just in like multiverse and we're in the TVA where it's outside of time and characters and they're just bringing everybody in and now it's just like my stakes are gone. Like exact my stakes are gone. That's it. It makes me
Nothing is
sad.
precious. Sean
No,
Fantasy is learning his movie theaters aren't precious.
I
You're
miss
learning that. Wolverine isn't precious. Everything turns to ash.
Are we gonna see Deadpool and Wolverine in IMAX?
Um, if we see it, you can decide what
We're
how.
obviously gonna go see it. We're
Yeah, you can
obviously gonna
decide
go
the
see it.
medium.
I
Does it need to be seen in IMAX? Like, do we have
Probably
to
not, but I mean,
no?
honestly, the IMAX tickets are not gonna be that much more expensive than say
Yeah, there'd
like a
probably be less people in it as well.
there'd probably less people in it too. That yeah. Okay. Well, the Wolverine modern classics. Wolverine,
Yeah.
no. Logan, yes.
Yes.
Pretty good, right? Pretty cool.
Yeah. We finally got an X-Men movie into the modern classics.
We didn't. Yeah, none of them worked. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's until we go fucking Deadpool and Deadpool 2, and then
Yeah.
those. Is that going to be the first case where two movies are voted in modern classic? Actually, no.
Deadpool 2 is not.
The first Deadpool problem.
The first one, I will begrudgingly
Yeah, we're. Is that going
say
to be the?
it's a
Is that
modern
the?
class.
Is that the most frustrated we're going to be? And we're going to be like,
Yeah.
yes.
And like First Reformed is not a modern classic,
But
but
Deadpool is.
Deadpool is.
Considering that Deadpool and Wolverine, I remember seeing the early reports, is tracking for a $180 million opening weekend based on pre-sales. Uh, which even if it does 150 million is like the most successful movie of the year so far. Yeah. Not fun,
It
is it?
looks fine.
It
It
looks
looks
fine. It
fine.
looks
I'm happy to
fine.
see that Wolverine's back, even though
He,
they resurrect him to make erectile dysfunction jokes. So
yeah,
that's what we're working with.
this
That's what
is
we're
what
gonna
we
be.
this is what we do. We just lament and we watch movies that in the end of the day we're like, it was pretty fun, but now I'm sad.
Yeah.
Now we're begrudgingly just waiting until that Deadpool 2 week.
I
We're
might
like,
quit film prods before I give Deadpool a modern classic. I might abstain from voting.
yeah,
I have the right to abstain.
you do have the right to abstain. We can have a section that's like, I don't want to put that in
Yeah.
the universe. All right, so next week, we're doing a special new section of Film Frauds. Just called Film Frauds Recommends, something like that. Or maybe we'll think of a better title. Next week we're gonna do Kid Detective and Blackcoat's Daughter.
Film frauds recommends.
Recommends, yeah. The FFF. Uh yeah, we're gonna do Blackcoat's Daughter and Kid Detective, two movies. One movie that you and I are both like, fuck yeah, and one movie that I'm almost guaranteed to have to change my opinion about.
Okay.
That's one of those movies that like even like 6 months after seeing it, I'm like, I think I was wrong. I think I was definitely wrong. All right, Matt. Where can they find us? What should they do?
Give us a 5-star review. I keep meaning to say that at the start of the episode, but I always forget. So give us a 5-star review. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
Hell yeah.
And our Letterboxd
Letterboxd.
accounts are in the link. I want more followers than Josh Lewis.
Matt,
They won't follow me because I gave Civil War a high grade. And
I have
because
50
movies that
followers on
make you think
Letterboxd.
don't get high grades on Letterboxd. Um,
I have 50 followers on here, Matt. I'm doing pretty
wow.
good. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
doing pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, this was fun. Probably our longest episode around there.
Yeah.
That was long.
Yeah.
The day's long for us. So yeah, we'll be back whenever. I don't know. Whoever's listening, we'll be back. We're ready to find this in the
Mm,
future when we're in the echelons, when Steven Spielberg calls us up, he's like, you guys saved cinema. And we're like,
mm,
yeah, with your Deadpool and Deadpool 2 episode.
mm.
All right.
We did
Well,
it.
we did it. All right. Thank you guys for listening. And fuck you and goodbye. I just saw your name. Deadpool's better than Mouth Shut.
I had that there the whole podcast.
I didn't move my mouse the entire podcast. I couldn't tell. Matt, do you like
Oh,
my name? Patrick Stewart Gill.
yeah, I saw it.
Okay, you didn't laugh, so fuck you. All right, thank you guys for listening. Fuck you and goodbye.